They called Korea the Forgotten War. But for the men of the 72nd Tank Battalion, it was a place etched in memory, where steel and fire carved the shape of history. A place where winter became an enemy all its own. By late 1950, United Nations forces had pushed deep into North Korea. Columns of American and South Korean troops advanced through shattered villages, and narrow mountain roads swept by early snow. But everything changed when hundreds of thousands of Chinese troops surged across the Yalu River, silent columns moving under cover of darkness. Entire divisions found themselves fighting just to escape the trap. At the tip of this desperate retreat was the 72nd Tank Battalion, attached to the 2nd Infantry Division. Crews of M4 Shermans and M26 Pershings braced for the onslaught. Their mission: hold the roads open and buy time for the infantry to pull back before they were surrounded. Kunuri became a nightmare of cold confusion and relentless attacks. As the Chinese poured in, roads clogged with refugees and retreating columns. Convoys stretched for miles, jeeps, ambulances, artillery, all crawling south through mountain passes. The 72nd was ordered to hold the corridor open. If they failed, thousands would be cut off and lost. Tank engines rumbled through the darkness, their exhaust plumes curling like ghosts in the freezing air. Gunners scanned the ridgelines, searching for muzzle flashes. Infantry clung to any cover they could find, their rifles often jamming in the bitter cold. Sub-zero winds cut through every gap in a tanker's uniform. Machine guns froze solid if the crews didn't keep them warm with blankets and lanterns. Time and again, the battalion pushed forward to clear ambushes, firing high-explosive shells into hillside bunkers. At close quarters, coaxial machine guns rattled across the darkness, tracers arcing into foxholes. Their armor became the shield behind which the 2nd Infantry Division clawed its way south, mile by mile. But even tanks weren't invulnerable. Chinese bazooka teams slipped through the darkness, striking from hidden gullies and frozen creek beds. Their rockets punched through thin side armor, turning steel into fire. Some tankers were forced to fight with hatches open, desperate to see the enemy before they struck. Visibility dropped to almost nothing as snow squalls swept across the valleys. Crews had to guess where the next attack would come from. Behind the tanks, supply trucks crept forward with ammunition and fuel, driven by soldiers and Korean contractors who knew that a stalled convoy could mean annihilation. In the chaos, medics braved rifle fire to reach the wounded. Sometimes, they found only frozen shapes in the snow. By early December, what was left of the division broke through the gauntlet. The retreat from Kunuri cost over 4,000 casualties. Entire companies were shattered. Many men lost fingers or toes to frostbite. Medics struggled to treat wounds. That froze solid in minutes. But without the tanks leading the columns, blasting roadblocks, hauling out the wounded, the toll would have been far worse. For many veterans, Kunuri was the moment the war stopped feeling like a campaign and became sheer survival. Winter deepened. Snow drifted across the Korean hills, burying the scars of battle. Yet the Chinese offensive wasn't over. By January 1951, fresh assaults drove UN forces south again, this time toward the town of Wonju. Wonju controlled vital road and rail links. If it fell, the entire southern front could collapse. The 72nd Tank Battalion was ordered forward once more to anchor the defensive line. Nights plunged to 20 degrees below zero. Icy winds tore through canvas tents, leaving men huddled together for warmth. Wonju became a swirling battleground of fire and ice. Tanks lumbered up frozen slopes, their treads grinding over drifts that swallowed jeeps whole. Infantry dug trenches in rock-hard ground, while artillery thundered day and night. Chinese infantry advanced in waves, probing for weak points. The battalion used fire and movement, a deadly ballet of armor and infantry. Shermans and Pershings advanced by bounds, halting to hammer machine gun nests, while foot soldiers closed in behind them. Engines had to run constantly, or coolant would freeze into slush. Crews chipped ice off vision blocks just to see a few yards ahead. Some men fought with frostbitten hands, too numb to feel the triggers. Each time, the tanks rallied, blasting counterattacks back across the hills. Behind the line, supply convoys worked without rest. Truck drivers hauled diesel and ammunition up narrow mountain roads, where any curve could bring an ambush. Mechanics patched up track links and engines by lantern light, their tools freezing to their gloves. Radio operators relayed urgent requests for shells and fuel, knowing that without supplies, the tanks would fall silent. For weeks, the 72nd helped stabilize the front. Their guns shattered enemy concentrations. Their armor blocked breakthroughs before they could unravel the line. By February, the Chinese offensive sputtered out, spent by the cost of constant attacks. Wonju held, and the war settled into a grinding stalemate that would last more than 2 more years. The 72nd Tank Battalion didn't fight in the grand offensives that make headlines. They fought in the cold, in the mud, and in the darkness so that others could make it home alive. Their story is a reminder that sometimes victory isn't a flag raised over a capital. Sometimes it's the stubborn refusal to break, no matter how hopeless it seems, because the past is never really gone, and some battles are too important to forget.